It sure doesn't look like it did when I arrived here yesterday, and I am grateful I took a little bit of video footage for you when I did arrive, because you are not going to see the views today, not at all. Now granted, it is still a nice space, but take a look at yesterday. It's amazing what you can find when you're just out tripping around. Yeah, I had just looked up for trails around me and I saw a waterfall hike. I'm like, okay, well, let's go check out these waterfalls. So that's what I did. And I noticed there was a loop trail, which I was so grateful for because I don't think I wanted to go back up the way I had come down. I will show you in a little bit when we go and check out the waterfalls ourselves. But yeah, I was like, okay. And then I ended up down here by the river and found this beautiful camp spot and ended up walking the road back up so I could come back here in a couple days, which was last night, to do a little camp out here because why not? This is pretty sweet. Now this is literally van life down by the river. I think before going to the waterfall, I'm going to make some breakfast first. And I'm going to have soup. I know, right? Soup for breakfast. But I had breakfast for dinner. And, well, we're allowed to do what we choose to do, right? So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. First, let's go to the back and get some water. Well, that literally just sucks. My handle broke off my measuring cup. But that's okay. I am making a tom yam soup. Here's my ingredients. Soup is done. Smells delightful. Let's give this a try. Trying to get the goodness of everything on a spoon here. There we go. Nice spice. But wow, that is really salty. Oh, wow. Anywho, we are going to be talking about work life and van life and how I bring the two of them together and balance it all out. So let's start with the van life portion first. I had no intentions on ever driving a van again in my life. I was in a fatal accident. I was a driver. And, well, needless to say, that put a fear into me of ever driving vans. But then about 8 years ago, I had to conquer that fear. And I did, as you can tell. So when I started my van life journey, it was 2020. I had to shut my business down due to the pandemic that was going on. And I thought, you know what? What can I do? Because I was just like, I don't want to just sit around here doing nothing. So I thought, you know what? Why don't you plan a road trip? So that's what I did. I planned out a 2-month road trip around British Columbia. I think it was probably about the last 3 weeks of my road trip. I was like, I really, really like hanging out in this van. Maybe I should challenge myself to a full year of living in it. That is when I started to envision on what it would look like for me living in my van for a full year. So it's summertime at this point, and, well, I don't have to worry about heat so much. But what am I going to do for the winter? Let Like, I wonder if I could find a place where I can park in somebody's driveway and utilize their electricity to put a heater in my van so I can get through a winter. It's like, that might work. And I'm like, but what kind of work can I do? I do mobile massage, but I wanted to do a barter of some sort, right? I thought, well, maybe I can utilize my healthcare experience and do like a palliative or sport worker or something along those lines and help somebody physically in their home. I was like, that might be a good idea. I'll look into that more when I get to the island. Anyways, just before I got back to the island, I actually got a phone call from one of my clients, and he had stated that his wife had cancer. And then she had called me asking if there was any way I could help her out. She looked after a couple special needs, and needless to say, there was no respite for her whatsoever. So no one to look after them while she was getting her cancer treatments done. So that's where I stepped in. And what I had envisioned actually came to fruition. So that worked out just fantastic. But it only lasted 6 months. And then I was back to going, okay, what am I going to do? I still continued doing my massages, and that's how I was making my income. And then one of my other clients was moving off of Vancouver Island to Bridge Lake. And I thought, they were looking for somebody to work in the store. Well, we started to connect and stuff like that and talk more and more about it. And before I knew it, I was moving up to Bridge Lake. But this is also a time when I didn't live in my van, because I did have a suite that was included with my contract. So I went ahead and did that. And Bridge Lake was something very special to me because I lived on the island my whole entire life. I didn't know anywhere else, to be honest with you. I had literally just started traveling in my 40s, like literally. So I went to Bridge Lake, and that's what it was, a bridge from one place to another. Like I said, the job was only lasted 6 months. I decided to leave due to reasons. And I realized that I kind of like this short-term work. So maybe I should look into seasonal jobs. And, well, I happened to know a perfect place where there was a seasonal job that I could work at. And then I ended up in Sandon. My sister had a workaway who had to leave, and she needed somebody to cover a couple months of the season. So yeah, that's when I kind of stepped in and thoroughly enjoyed the job. I was working in the bistro as well as the gift shop and sharing the story and history of Sandon. But of course I had to face a winter. And I was like, what am I going to do now? So I applied for another job, and I worked up at Sun Peaks Ski Resort as a seasonal worker up there. I only did the one season with them. Working in a spa, doing massage, really wasn't my thing after all. I preferred doing my mobile massage that I do. But the experience itself was incredible because I had never experienced a winter before. Being on Vancouver Island, right? You get maybe a week worth of snow. That's about it. So to be literally engulfed in white for 5 months was something else. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I ended up back into Sandon again. And I worked 3 seasons with them. So 2.5 of those seasons, I did continue working in the bistro and gift shop. And the last half of this past season I just finished, I was your powerhouse tour guide. So this year I was like, okay, I am facing another winter. I have nobody in my life to share it with. So I was like, massage isn't all that great during the month of December, beginning of January, just because of Christmas, understandably so. So I was like, maybe I should look for another job. I ended up going on Indeed, and this rink attendant job came up. And I was like, really? A rink? I didn't realize they had a little ice rink there for the Christmas season. Well, you learn something new, don't you? So I applied for the job. I had my job interview a few days ago. And yesterday I got notice that I got the job. So yeah, I'm going to be heading back to Vancouver Island and working there in the Victoria area anyways for 5 weeks. Of course, I have to be there like a week prior to kind of thing for orientation and so on and so forth. But yeah, so that's kind of the things I do for work. And all in between this, I do my mobile massage. So as I am traveling through towns, so right now I'm in Revelstoke, I have a bit of a clientele base here. So that's what I've been doing, is just building up clientele in each area that I stay at or like to stay at. And come on, like Revelstoke is so flippin' beautiful. Like, check this out. Better change my shoes and take you to those waterfalls. And then there's YouTube right here, right? Kind of don't classify it as a job, but it kind of is. I am monetized, even though I'm a small channel with lower views. I make maybe a tank of gas worth of money every 3 to 4 months. It's still a job, but I classify it more of a hobby. I truly do love doing it, and I thank you guys all for watching who do. So keeping it going, keeping me going, because honestly, it's this that balances out my van life. It gets me out there doing what it is that I want to do, which was having a traveling lifestyle like the one I have created. Absolutely stunning, aren't they? As you can see, I climbed up a little bit of rock there. Well, when I found this place the other day, I had to come down from the top of the waterfalls. And I had a little bit of rock scaling I had to do so. So I came down this section here, but there's a whole bunch up in there that you don't even see. You're just going to have to take my word on that, because I ain't going to be no fool going back up there. But I am going to head my way back to the van because I have to go and do a couple of massages. And today I am departing this beautiful place called Revelstoke. Now that I think about it, nature is the balance between the two. Whether I'm driving and enjoying all the scenery or sitting and soaking it all in. Though if I'm going to sit, I prefer to be near a body of water and walking in nature like I am right now. Yeah, that honestly I think is my balance. Now I'm curious, do you have a balance, and what is it? And if you don't have a balance, then maybe this is your time to think about what you can do to create balance. Because do not forget, we are the creators of our life, on what we choose to do, when we choose to do it, and how we choose to do it. And I have about, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks more of just massages to do. And then I'm enjoying 2.5 peaceful weeks all to myself. Wow. And you too, because I will be taking you along and showing you where we're going, which I will share on the next episode on what is actually going on and where am I going. Anyways, till next time, take care. Bye.